On our 5th wedding anniversary, I ordered a cake from a trendy bakery to celebrate with my husband. But then, I saw a crowd queuing outside, and among them were a man and woman locked in a passionate embrace. Unfortunately, the man was none other than my husband, Jason. I took out my phone and called him. He reluctantly pulled away from her lips to answer, sounding irritated as he asked what I wanted. Saying he was busy, calmly, I said, "Just one small thing. Could you ask your little lover what shade of lipstick she's wearing?" Chapter 1. Jason's face changed color as he turned and looked around, finally spotting me standing inside the bakery through the glass door. Our eyes met, and in that moment, memories flashed between us, from school uniforms to wedding gowns, from having nothing to achieving everything. But after 5 years of marriage, it all finally crumbled, defeated by the allure of bold red lips. I carried the cake out, and Jason hurriedly stood in front of the woman. "Selena, whatever you want to say. Let's talk at home. Don't make a scene here." The woman peeked out from behind him, young, beautiful, with the boldness of someone who knows she's spoiled. "You must be Mrs. Jason, right? Today's your anniversary, isn't it? Jason even said he was buying a cake to celebrate with you. I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but mistresses nowadays seem much more direct and shameless, having such conversations with their wife in broad daylight." I lifted the cake slightly, looking at Jason, suppressing the urge to slap him, and said with great restraint, "Are you coming home with me now? Or are you going to finish kissing your little lover first?" Jason's face darkened. "Selena, it's just a misunderstanding. Why are you being so aggressive?" "Fine. I'll go home with you. Happy now?" I didn't know where this trendy cake shop was, so I brought Jessica along to help. "I just wanted to make you happy. But clearly, I messed it up." He reached out to take the cake from me. I let go, and with a loud splat, it hit the ground, shattered into a mess, just like our marriage. Unsalvageable, disgraceful. Jessica covered her mouth. "Oh my, Mrs. Jason, you're so unreasonable. Is something like this really worth getting upset over? Jason, if it's like this, I won't dare go out with you next time. Who knows if your wife will slap me across the face. Her temper is out of control." Jason looked down at the smashed cake, then at me angrily. "What's wrong with you? Do you have to make a scene? Can't you control your spoiled temper even in public?" Smack! I slapped him across the face and then looked at Jessica. "Don't worry, little girl. My hand won't land on your face. Because I only slapped my husband. You're just a toy, not worth my effort." Jessica stomped her foot in fury. "What did you just say?" Jason was utterly humiliated. He grabbed my hand, gritting his teeth. "Selena, don't push your luck. You hit me in public? Have you thought about the consequences?" I threw his hand off. "How about I find a man to kiss? If you can tolerate it, then maybe I can too." Jason was stunned. "You're insane. Completely unreasonable." I left him standing there and drove home. The house was romantically decorated. I had spent the entire day setting it up. There were roses and scented candles, all of Jason's favorites. His favorite wine had already been decanted, and the gift was waiting on the bedside table, all set for the man of the house to return. I threw the roses into the trash. On our 1st anniversary, Jason had said, "Honey, from now on, every year on this day, we'll celebrate together. We'll do this for the rest of our lives." I poured the wine down the sink. On our 2nd anniversary, Jason had said, "Selena, I just bought a company today. I'm so excited. Our anniversary is truly a lucky day." I dumped the steak I had cooked into the trash. On our 3rd anniversary, Jason had said, "Baby, when are we going to have a child? I'm going to spoil you both to the heavens." I packed the candles away in the storage closet. On our 4th anniversary, Jason had said, "Today, I want to show you the hotel I built. That's my gift to you." The memories ended abruptly at year 5. I stared at myself in the mirror, and the woman in the reflection, Selena, was in tears. Her eyes filled with despair. The sound of a WeChat notification interrupted me. I grabbed my phone and saw a new friend request waiting for approval. I opened it and saw the profile picture. It was Jessica, Jason's little lover from earlier today. After a moment of thought, I clicked accept. She sent over a dozen photos and videos in quick succession, all of them intimate moments between her and Jason. Then she sent a message. People who love each other should be together. Shouldn't the loser know when to step aside? He told me he feels a sense of energy and joy with me that he hasn't felt in a long time. And you're like a boring dead fish, fighting off the nausea. I looked at the photos and clicked save. Then I opened her social media. Her feed was filled with daily life pictures, eating, playing, shopping, traveling. In 9 out of 10 of them, Jason's figure appeared somewhere in the corner. Sometimes it was just his hand, sometimes a shoulder, sometimes his back. After 5 years of marriage, I could recognize him in those small details, even with my eyes closed. Chapter 2. Jason came back, loosened his tie, and sat casually on the couch. Since you've already seen it, why don't we talk? He said nonchalantly. I sat across from him, looking at this familiar stranger, the man I shared a bed with every night. Why does he now seem like someone I don't even know? When did this begin? I thought about it, then asked him. Jason sighed softly. Does it really matter when it started? What matters is that she's young, beautiful, and full of energy. Selena, I'm 30 years old. I'm tired. When I come home, and you start talking about household chores, I get even more exhausted. I want to come home to rest and be happy, not to hear you nag. But Jessica is different. She's like a reckless child who barged into my life, turning everything upside down. And I like it. I haven't felt this kind of freshness and vitality in a long time. He smiled as he spoke, clearly enjoying the thought. His smile pierced my heart. He used to smile like that when he talked about me, his love for me shining in his eyes. And now, that same expression is reserved for another woman. You don't understand, he continued. She reminds me so much of you when you first started college, full of life, the center of attention, with everyone wanting to be around you. I interrupted him, frowning, clicking my tongue. So, the lively Selena became boring at 30, and you found yourself a girl in her early 20s. When she loses her energy, are you planning to replace her too? Jason, is this how marriage vows change? Because things aren't exciting anymore. Because life has become dull. Do you think cheating is justified? Tears fell from my eyes. I couldn't tell if they were from sadness or anger. After we got married, we started a company together, worked hard together, until one day, I drank so much to secure the company's biggest deal that I ended up with a stomach ulcer. Jason cried like a child by my hospital bed, swearing he would make sure I'd live the happiest life. After I was discharged from the hospital, he no longer let me go to the company. He insisted I stay home to recover and slowly regain my health. No matter how busy he was, he would rush home to cook me dinner. Every morning, he would prepare a pot of millet porridge to help my stomach heal. Even my friends said I was so lucky to have such a great husband. What other man does that for his wife? They'd say. I was filled with happiness, thinking that once I recovered, I would give Jason a child, and our family would be perfect. Jason, still cold and emotionless, said, I didn't want you to find out. I didn't want you to overthink things. But now look. Now that you know, you're making a scene for everyone to see. Selena, take a look around. Men with my kind of wealth. Who doesn't have a bit of fun outside? Divorces are happening left and right. Only I haven't abandoned my wife. I've never wronged you. I give you enough money. Let you use the cards freely. And you don't even have to work. You just need to stay beautiful. Do you know how many people envy your position? And yet, you're still not satisfied. My hands and feet turned cold. I never thought I would hear such shameless words from Jason's mouth. I stared at him intensely. Jason, what did you promise my parents before we got married? Before we got married, I brought Jason to my parents' grave, and in front of them, he promised, Mom, Dad, I will take care of Selena, protect her for life, and love her forever. He placed the engagement ring on my finger in front of my parents, swearing eternal love. Yet here we were, 5 years later. Those words still echoed in my ears, but the man who said them was now unrecognizable. Jason slammed his cup down heavily. Here we go again. Selena, can you stop being so childish? Do you really think every promise can be kept? Back then, I really thought I'd love you forever, and I haven't treated you badly. I'm still good to you. still protecting and loving you. Look, if you hadn't seen what you saw today, you'd still be happy. Why can't you just let it go? Can't you pretend it never happened? He stood up, walked over to me, and sat down by my side, wrapping his arm around my shoulder. Honey, okay, fine. It's my fault. If you really care this much, I'll end it right now. Clean it all up. I promise it won't happen again, okay? Just calm down, please. It's all my fault. I was wrong. Why is it that after a man cheats, he can still remain so composed, acting as if the woman is overreacting? I couldn't even stand him sitting next to me when he leaned in slightly to kiss me. The strong scent of perfume hit my nose, and I felt a wave of nausea. I rushed to the bathroom, vomiting until I was dizzy. Jason followed me in, anxiously patting my back. What's wrong? Did you eat something? Is your stomach acting up again? I pushed his hand away and said weakly, Get away from me. You're covered in another woman's perfume. He immediately stepped back, a hint of helplessness in his voice. Okay, I'll go take a shower right now, all right? I lay in bed, and as soon as he was clean and free of the smell, Jason lay down beside me. I tried to move away, but his hand gently covered my stomach, warming it like he always did whenever my stomach hurt. It was as if we had gone back to the past, as if nothing had happened today. Hasn't your stomach gotten better? Why is it acting up again? Jason asked softly from behind me. Maybe we should go to the hospital tomorrow. I was silent for a moment before I finally spoke. No, it's not necessary. I know my stomach. Of course I knew. I wasn't vomiting because my stomach was acting up. I was pregnant, 2 months. The pregnancy report and ultrasound scan were in the small gift box on the bedside table, intended to be my 5th anniversary gift to him. But now, it seemed there was no point in giving it. Chapter 3. Jason, lying beside me, thought he had successfully comforted me and soon fell asleep. I lay awake in the darkness, my eyes wide open, tears streaming from the corners of my eyes into my hair. The pain in my heart was suffocating, and I felt like a desolate ruin. In my mind's eye, all I could see was the wreckage of my soul, shattered beyond repair. In his sleep, Jason turned towards me, placing his hand on my waist. He murmured softly, "Baby." My heart twitched, my eyes stinging, but then I heard him murmur again, "Jessica." My tears flowed uncontrollably like a faucet that couldn't be turned off. I remembered how, when I was a child, my mother would stroke my head and say, "Selena, when you're hurt, cry it out. But after you're done, you have to smile again, okay?" In my heart, I whispered, "Mom, I'll cry just this once. After this, I'll start over." In the middle of the night, Jason's phone rang. He answered immediately, getting out of bed and moving to the bathroom, where he closed the door and spoke in a low voice. I could faintly make out a few words. "Don't cry. I'll be right back." He got dressed and quietly slipped out the door. I knew it was her, that young girl calling him. In the darkness, I could hear her delicate voice in my mind. In the morning, I made myself a pot of millet porridge, eating it to warm my body. I had a tough battle to face today, and I needed to be full of strength. Later that morning, I arrived at the hospital as scheduled. I had made the appointment with the doctor the night before to have the procedure done today. The head doctor had been treating me ever since I had first wanted a child, for the past 2 or 3 years. She looked at the ultrasound scan and asked me seriously, "Are you really sure you want to do this? It wasn't easy for you to conceive. Maybe you should discuss this with your husband." I forced a stiff smile and said, "There's no need to discuss it. When it comes to this child, I'll make the decision on my own." The doctor looked at me, sighed, and called the nurse in to take me for preparation. The operating table was cold, and my teeth chattered. The doctor asked me again, "This is your last chance. Are you absolutely sure?" With tears streaming down my face, I closed my eyes and nodded. "I'm sure. It was really just a small procedure. But what I lost was a tiny life, something I had longed for so long. But it came at the wrong time." I got off the operating table by myself, biting my lip, cold sweat pouring down as I sat on the hospital bench to rest. A nurse brought me a cup of hot water and asked with concern, "Do you need me to call someone to pick you up? You don't look well." I shook my head. "No, I didn't need anyone. I no longer had any family. I wrapped my coat tightly around me and was just about to walk out of the obstetrics and gynecology department when a couple approached from the opposite direction. The woman leaned into the man, pouting. I was in so much pain last night, I was terrified. All this suffering. Who am I doing it for, if not for you? Jason gently comforted her. All right, my dear, you've had it tough. Once my son is born, I'll give him a spanking to make it up to you. Jessica pouted playfully. You try spanking my son. I dare you. They were laughing and joking as they walked in, and when they saw me blocking their path, Jason immediately let go of Jessica. Selena, what are you doing here? I stood there, pale, without saying a word. Jason explained. Jessica wasn't feeling well. She's just a young girl, and she doesn't have any family here. I was just bringing her to the hospital. That's all, nothing else. Jessica sneered. Selena, you're so petty. Following your husband around like this. I can't stand women like you. Your husband doesn't love you anymore. So what's the point of clinging to him every day? Jason quickly stopped her. Jessica. The young girl grew upset, rubbing her stomach. You're yelling at me? Keep it up, and I'll take your son and leave you. I glanced at her stomach. No wonder she felt so confident. But none of it mattered anymore. It had nothing to do with me. I didn't have the energy to say anything, so I turned to leave. Jason grabbed my arm forcefully. Selena, don't act like this. Just staying silent. It's like I told you. I was only bringing her to the hospital. Why are you following me like this and not saying anything? I hate that superior attitude of yours. He grew angrier as he spoke and pulled hard. I lost my balance and fell to the ground. Everything went black. And before I passed out, I saw a nurse rushing over. What's wrong with you? This patient just had an abortion. Doctor, we have a patient down. Amidst the chaos, I finally lost consciousness. Chapter 4. When I woke up, Jason was beside me, holding my hand tightly. Honey, he said. My heart felt suffocated, and I turned my head away, not wanting to see him. His eyes were red. You were carrying our child. Why didn't you tell me? Why did you make the decision to get rid of it on your own? I'm the father. I have the right to make this decision with you. How could you decide by yourself? You're so selfish. Selena. I stared at him, my eyes filled with disappointment and disgust. Have the baby? In a broken family? I didn't want to tell a child that his father cheated, that he had another woman and another child out there. Jason was at a loss for words. I spoke coldly. Jason, let's get a divorce. The child is gone, and we don't have anything left that's hard to divide. Your little lover is pregnant, isn't she? It's perfect. You love children. Divorce me. Marry her, and you'll have the perfect life, a young wife and a child to complete it. Jason shook his head, gripping my hand tightly, looking at me. Selena, you know you're the one I truly love. The rest was just a fling. I'm not divorcing you. I pulled my hand away. Jason, let's end things on good terms. I don't want to make this breakup ugly. You don't want a divorce because you're worried about the company and the stock prices. I want a divorce because, Jason, you make me sick. I'll have a lawyer draft the divorce papers. We built the company together, so we'll split the assets evenly. You just need to sign. Jason shook his head, his voice hoarse. Selena, please. Be a little softer with me. We've been in love for so many years. You can't just sentence me to death because I made one mistake. I'm sorry. Give me another chance. I won't agree to a divorce. We're meant to be together. I closed my eyes and ignored him. Was it really just one mistake that all men in the world make? After I was discharged, Jason brought me home. I ignored him, but he took a few days off from work to stay with me, cooking soups and preparing meals, caring for me with the same tenderness as in our happier days. As I sipped my soup, I looked at him. You don't need to stay with me. Go back to work. Also, aren't you going to check on your girlfriend? After all, she's carrying your child. Jason gazed at me with pity. I told you, I'll break up with her. From now on, we'll be fine. I pulled my hand away from his. It's unnecessary. Let's part on good terms. His face darkened slightly. Stop being stubborn. I already told you. I won't agree to a divorce. He acted as if he had truly changed his mind. staying home with me every day. One night, I woke up, but he wasn't in bed. I got up and saw him standing on the balcony, smoking and talking on the phone. Just bear with it a few more days. She wants to split the assets now, so I need to keep her calm. Once I've transferred everything, she won't get a single cent. Then, all the money will be yours and our son's. Sweetheart. I froze on the spot, my heart completely shattered. It turns out that when someone stops loving you, their calculations can be 1,000 times more ruthless than you ever imagined. I returned to the bedroom, closed my eyes, pretending nothing had happened. I contacted my lawyer and explained my situation, including Jason's plan to transfer the assets. The lawyer advised me to immediately gather evidence of his affair. If possible, I should expose the affair publicly. The bigger the scandal, the more leverage I'd have against Jason, making it impossible for him to win in dividing the assets. I handed over all the photos and videos Jessica had sent me. The lawyer chuckled. This is a gift wrapped up for us. Sitting on the swing in the garden, Jason brought me a shawl, carefully draping it over my shoulders. I smiled slightly. It's been a long time since I sat here so peacefully, soaking up the sun. Jason, surprised by my kind gesture, sat beside me, gently wrapping his arm around me. If you want, I can stay with you like this every day from now on. I rested my head on his shoulder. Why don't we have some afternoon tea in the garden? The sun is so nice. I don't want to go back inside. Jason playfully pinched my nose. All right. You want afternoon tea here? I'll go prepare some snacks. Chapter 5. I tilted my head back, letting the sun warm my face, and posted on social media. Everything is back to how it used to be. The post included a few pictures, me leaning on Jason's shoulder, him feeding me cake, and the two of us sitting on the swing together. It all looked peaceful, like nothing had changed. Below the post, as usual, came a series of likes and comments from familiar friends, joking about how we were showing off our love, making playful remarks. After I fell asleep, Jason went to the balcony to make another call. He sweetly reassured his mistress on the other end. Baby, I'm just pretending. You know I don't love her. I'm just keeping her happy for now. Don't be mad. Next time, I won't even bother with her. I'll only focus on you, okay? I didn't touch her. She's so boring. How could I possibly want to be with her? Don't worry about it. I turned over and went back to sleep. The next day, I told Jason I was feeling better and suggested he return to work. I urged him, you can't let the company fall apart. This is the busiest time for business. I'll just go shopping with my girlfriends. Staying at home with you all day is so boring. Jason hugged me gently. All right. I'll do what you say. He went back to work, but I didn't go out with friends. Instead, I got a call from Jessica, asking to meet. She arrived in a designer maternity dress, carrying a luxury bag worth hundreds of thousands, sitting across from me with an arrogant air, caressing her stomach as she issued her challenge. Selena, what's the point of dragging this out? Jason doesn't love you anymore. Don't you get it? I calmly sipped my tea, barely paying her any attention. Doesn't matter. I'm still his wife, and I enjoy everything he has. I shot her a disdainful glance. You, on the other hand, should be careful. Everything you're spending comes from Jason, which means it's really my money. You'd better be polite to your sugar daddy, or if he gets angry, that pumpkin carriage you're riding will turn back into a pumpkin, and you'll become Cinderella again. Her face turned bright red with anger. You're such a pathetic woman. You know your husband doesn't love you, yet you still cling to him. How shameless. I covered my mouth, gasping loudly. Oh my. Can mistresses insult people like this now? How is it that me not getting a divorce makes me shameless? You're the one who came between a married couple. Didn't your parents teach you not to take what isn't yours? Otherwise, it's stealing. You, a mistress without morals or shame. How dare you stand in front of me and shout? And another thing, you'd better watch your tone. As long as I don't get a divorce, the child in your belly is nothing but a bastard. A love child. Got it? You tramp. After saying that, I threw a cup of iced lemon tea in her face, and her scream drew everyone's attention. I stood up and looked at her. You're spending so much of my husband's money. Don't forget to pay for this afternoon tea. People nearby started whispering, wow, It's the first time I've seen a mistress so arrogant. I can't stand these home-wrecking mistresses. No shame at all. And she even dares to come and negotiate with the wife? What a disgrace. If I were her parents, I'd strangle her. Didn't you hear? She's pregnant. Trying to force the wife out. Absolutely shameless. Back in the day, someone like her would have been thrown into a pig cage. That evening, Jason came home furious. The moment he saw me, he stormed over. What did you say to Jessica today? I looked up at him, noticing the sweat on his forehead. I smiled. Why so anxious? Didn't you say you were going to break up with her? He was at a loss for words, and I lowered my gaze, continuing. I didn't go looking for her. She came to me. Jason, if I'm not provoking her, you'd better make sure she doesn't provoke me. Jason sighed and slumped onto the couch, looking exhausted. Selena, she's pregnant. It's not something I can just end immediately. You have to give me time. And I thought we'd come to an understanding. Haven't you already forgiven me? Before he could finish, Jessica called, crying and shouting on the phone, saying that her parents had found out about the affair and were demanding she break up with Jason. She sobbed hysterically. Are you trying to kill me and our baby? Jason hung up, then turned to me, frowning. Now Jessica's parents know. Are you happy? Our argument at the cafe had been recorded and posted online. Jessica was being torn apart as the most arrogant mistress. Married women, especially, hate mistresses like her. The video quickly went viral, and Jessica's parents, humiliated and pointed at everywhere they went, finally learned that their daughter had become a mistress. Furious, they threatened to come and take her back home. Chapter 6. There aren't that many concerned citizens out there. I had arranged for someone to record the video and upload it online. Jason now had two choices: either watch Jessica leave with his child, or divorce me, marry Jessica, and keep the child. And he had to make that decision before Jessica's parents arrived. Jessica cried hysterically, and I heard she was threatening to jump off the roof. Jason gave in. All right, I'll sign the divorce papers right away. Just come down. Don't hurt the baby. The divorce agreement had long been prepared. Jason stared at it silently for a while before finally saying, "Our company's assets aren't worth this much." I turned and pulled out a stack of documents, including proof of the assets he had transferred. I tossed them onto the coffee table. Jason, I didn't expect you to be so ruthless. You cheat. And on top of that, you wanted me to leave with nothing. Did you really think that because I stayed home for a few years, I'm some idiot you can bully like this? Thankfully, although I didn't go to the company often, many of the old employees still respected me and hoped I would return. When I asked for help, they secretly provided me with documents that made it easy for my lawyer and me to find proof of the asset transfers. I've changed my mind. You cheated, and you're the one at fault. I'm not asking for an equal split anymore. I want 70/30ths. Jason's face flushed with anger. You're dreaming. I pulled out printed photos of him and Jessica and showed him a video on my phone. And then there's the baby in Jessica's belly. Think carefully before you speak. Jason, if this goes to court, I won't just file for divorce. You could be charged with bigamy. He gritted his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. Selena, do we really have to go this far? I picked up the pen and swiftly signed my name before tossing the papers at him. When you cheated, didn't you think about this outcome? I added one more thing. And do you want your child to be born without a father, just like you? That was the final straw. Jason had been raised by his mother alone, never knowing who his father was. In their small town, rumors had swirled, and people called him a bastard. I knew he would never let his own child go through the same. Jason finally signed the divorce papers. A month later, we finalized the divorce at the registry office. Jessica was waiting for him at the entrance. Young, beautiful, wearing a maternity dress. She walked up and linked arms with Jason. Mrs. Jason, oh no. Miss Selena, would you like a ride? I smiled faintly. No need. I get carsick. It makes me nauseous. As I was leaving, I suddenly turned back and looked at her. Aren't you going to hurry inside and get married? Aren't you afraid that Jason might turn around and fall for another young, beautiful, energetic girl? Then there won't be any place for you. After all, there are plenty of young girls who can have children. You've got quite a lot of competition. Jessica's face changed, and I smiled as I got into my car and left. I heard that Jessica's parents were so humiliated in their hometown that they couldn't show their faces. They weren't too happy with Jason either. He had to promise repeatedly that he had signed the divorce papers and would marry Jessica as soon as it was finalized. But after the divorce, Jason didn't have time to plan a grand wedding with Jessica because I was busy selling off my shares in the company. Jason called me, shouting from the other end of the phone, "Selena, what the hell are you doing?" I replied with a cheerful tone, "I'm selling my shares. If you're interested, I could consider selling them to you. Highest bidder wins. Are you interested? Get in line." To keep control of the company, Jason had no choice but to buy up all the shares I was selling. But the money he had left after the divorce wasn't enough. So to make up the difference, he had to sell the villa where Jessica was living. Jessica, heavily pregnant, cried and screamed, "I marry you, and you sell the house? What does that mean? Are you dissatisfied with me?" Jason tried to explain that it was an emergency, but Jessica wouldn't listen. All she knew was that not living in a luxury villa was humiliating. She had bragged to her friends about becoming Mrs. Jason, and now what would she be, Mrs. Jason who rents a house? She hid the property deed, infuriating Jason. For a man, business comes before anything else. But Jessica didn't understand that. She thought her love was more important. The two of them fought violently at home, and when Jason finally found the property deed, Jessica lunged to grab it. She tripped over the rug, and her stomach slammed hard into the floor. "Ah, help. It hurts so much." Blood started flowing from between her legs. Jason froze for a moment before rushing her to the hospital. She was already 5 or 6 months pregnant, and the force of the fall had caused her to lose the baby. Jessica suffered massive bleeding, and though they managed to save her, the doctors told her that she would never be able to have children again. Jessica was devastated, crying her heart out. After she was discharged from the hospital, Jessica moved into a small apartment Jason owned. Jason comforted her, holding her close. "I've bought back all the shares now. We'll get married right away, and you'll be my wife by the end of the year. Once the company's annual report is out, I'll buy you the most beautiful villa." Jessica got her wish and married Jason. She posted about it on social media for days. Meanwhile, I was on vacation at the beach and even liked one of her posts. I sold my shares and the old house, bought a new spacious apartment, and decorated it to be simple and cozy. With my suitcase in hand, I began traveling the world. I rekindled my college passion for writing travel blogs, and surprisingly, a lot of people enjoyed them. Before long, I had become a somewhat popular travel influencer, living a fulfilling and happy life. As for Jason, not long after marrying Jessica, his old habits resurfaced. He started seeing a young woman fresh out of college, young, beautiful, and full of energy, just like Jessica had been. Soon, the girl became pregnant. She turned out to be even more ruthless than Jessica, recording intimate videos with Jason and threatening to release them online if he didn't marry her, saying they'd both go down together. When Jessica found out, the other woman was already 7 months pregnant. The girl went straight to Jessica, wasting no time. "Jason told me you can't have kids anymore, but you're still clinging to your position as his wife. You're such a pathetic woman. You know your husband doesn't love you, yet you still won't let go. How shameless." Jessica froze for a moment, suddenly recalling how she had said the exact same thing to Selena when she forced her to divorce. She burst into laughter. "What goes around comes around. It's true that heaven shows no mercy." Jessica remained calm. She looked the girl in the eye and said bluntly, "I'm miscarried because of Jason, and now I can never have my own child. There's no way I'm getting divorced. No matter what, I won't leave. If you like him, and he's willing to support you, then go ahead and let him. But as for Mrs. Jason, there's only one, and that's me." When Jessica returned home and saw Jason, she smiled thoughtfully. "You know, Selena once said to me, if Jason can cheat on me, saying I'm young, beautiful, and full of energy, then he'll cheat on you one day too." I didn't believe her, but now, I see she was right. You really are incapable of change. But Jason, it's too bad. I can't have children anymore. I've lost too much, and I can't lose you too. So let's just live like this. Have as many children as you want with other women, but I will never agree to a divorce. When the mistress went into labor, Jason got a call in the middle of the night, panicking so much that he couldn't even drive. Jessica took the keys. "I'll drive you." She was eerily calm, driving Jason to the young woman's place and then straight to the hospital. The girl clung to Jason, whining and wincing. "Honey, it hurts so much. Kiss me." Jason held her close, giving her a quick kiss. "We'll be at the hospital soon. Everything will be fine." Jessica nodded. "Don't worry. The pain will stop soon." The day I miscarried and lost my child, it hurt even more than this. By the time they realized something was wrong with Jessica, it was too late. Jessica gripped the steering wheel tightly, glancing at them in the back seat with a smile. "Since neither of us wants to leave him, let's stay together." Jason realized the danger. "Jessica, what are you doing?" Jessica smiled. "You once said we'd die together. On the same day, same month, same year. It's almost time. Don't worry. I've heard drowning in the ocean doesn't hurt, especially for a mother and her unborn child." Jason shook his head in terror. "No, don't." He tried to grab the steering wheel, but it was too late. Jessica slammed her foot on the gas, speeding toward the guardrail along the seaside road, crashing into the ocean below. When I saw the news, I was on vacation in Bali Island. I scrolled past it like it was nothing more than a weather report. Indifferent. The next piece of news would be more exciting, more interesting. No one cares about what happened yesterday.